we can start in, it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, so that's the time for our meeting on reflections on architecture. So let me welcome all our students and other participants of this project or of this lecture. And of course, first of all, I would like to welcome you, Einar Hagem, from the Lundhagem office from Norway. We are very happy that you are with us this evening. I don't want to talk much about your office. I just wanted to congratulate you at the very beginning, because I heard that your library was nominated for the Mies van der Rohe Award 2022. So congratulations.
Thank
These
you.
are great news. And I hope you will talk about the library as well today, the evening.
I will, yes.
Okay, great. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I was already introducing your office to our students, and I would like only to underline that it's very exciting to look at your work, because there's a kind of combination of a very respectful designing towards the nature and the history of the particular places, but in the same time you are like your work is for me very typical for an office who is always inventing new solutions, new details, technologies. So very innovative in approach in the same time. So I'm very much looking forward how you will comment on this. And I also would like to underline that I was going through your webpage, and there is very much attention paid to sustainability and to the let's say nature of Norway. So I hope you will touch this topic as well during your lecture, because this is what we need and what we actually feel that the Norwegian architecture can teach us here in Central Europe. We would like to adopt some of your approaches. So this is all what I wanted to say at the beginning. So Einar, please, the floor is yours, or the virtual space is yours. And we are looking forward to hear your speech. So please, you can share the screen now.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Very nice to see you virtually. I would love to come to Bratislava, but of course this was very difficult these days. So hopefully we can...
Først trykk del oppe på skjermen. Den hvite.
I'm sorry. I had some comments there.
The white one in the back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah, right.
Så kan du åpne Acrobat.
Okay, here.
Så trykker du Ctrl-L.
Yeah, Ctrl-L. Here, I had some comments here to help me out. Now it works, hopefully. Do you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. So I go straight ahead, and here is a kind of chapter of what I want to talk about, and the main topic is building in context. And first, I would like to talk about more rural landscape contexts, exemplified by some different smaller projects, and then I will talk about the new main city library in Oslo. So when talking about building in rural landscape, I think it's very important to think about that every time you building is kind of caring for the program and the details, the materials, and this very special place you are building on. So what we see also in Norway, we see a lot of new dwellings and projects where you start kind of destroying nature. trying to make the land flat, make it easier to build on, and you use a lot of energy changing the situation. So this is what we really want to not to do. And here you see how everything is flattened out, and you see the infrastructure of each of the houses or cabins or whatever that is coming here. But when you go back in history and look at the old Norwegian houses in the sloping terrain, I guess you have the same in your country. You see how the buildings themselves adapt to the sloping landscape. You see that the stone mural stones is actually making it. You build it up to emphasize the terrain, and then you build your log structure. And this is here we can learn a lot how to use the landscape, I think. So first I would say a little bit about Olympic Village we built some years ago, several years ago. And why are we building exactly here? You see Norway, you see Oslo here, and Lillehammer, which is a smaller city where we had the Olympic Games. And you see Lillehammer, the city, and you see the sloping terrain towards the main river and lake in this area. And we were supposed to build the new dwellings for the athletics. And then, of course, we were looking at the old tradition, how to build in sloping terrain. Trying to make the buildings close to each other to save the landscape in between. So instead of just spreading the houses out, we try to make them into clusters. Looking at the old way of doing this. For example, we see this typical Norwegian cluster where you have the living spaces and you have the spaces for the animals, and they were attached but still separate. And we were thinking, how could we rethink about this? Now the cars are kind of the animals, and people are living close to the cars but still separate. And we looked at also old paintings of how the people were building in sloping terrain, making also these very interesting front gardens, which are lifted up above the social arena between the buildings lower in the terrain and the upper ones. So here you see a typical part of this Olympic Village, which were supposed to be normal dwellings after the Olympics, but should be very flexible so they could be divided into small apartments during the Olympics. And here you see a typical row housing project, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a higher one here, and they all have private outdoor spaces just outside the house, and then you have the social space before you have the lower part in the train, and you have the cars outside this again. Yeah, you can just. So when we made this drawing very early in this project, and I like to talk about it, even if this project is a bit old. I think it's in a way we bring it back now because it's even now it's even more modern in a way, looking a lot at the old way of building. And trying to re-imprint that into the new building, because we have been through now a very modernist period, and maybe we have lost a little bit of this this anchor to the tradition, and I think maybe we are now working a bit more with that. And I think these dwellings here, they look at the colors of the old buildings. They look at that it was a whole form. It was not a building with a lot of bay windows or a lot of volumes put together. It was kind of one building with parts of it going into the volume, and you had also this side volume where you have the infrastructure, the traffic between the rooms, and also the staircase was very often here. So we have this gable that was not symmetrical. And so we actually kind of did the same in this Olympic Village. We made bathrooms and stairways and entrance in this part, and then you have the living spaces. And you have always going into the volume with outdoor areas and balconies, not going out of it. And you see here the square, or we call it, the Norwegian word is tun. I don't know, it's not a real English word here. It's this cluster of housing for the people, and here's the small cluster for the cars. And here you also see it finished. And now we're here in Oslo. We have the castle of Norway here, and the main road. Here is the opera by Snøhetta, and the library where we have built is right here. And this is where the office is. We are like 50 architects. 5 of us are partners of the company, and we're sitting in a house from the 60s, a very open area. And we always work a lot with models to try and develop the projects. So now I'm just show you as also from the Olympics, actually, the starting house for downhill, which was kind of the first project I was. When I became a partner of the office, this was my first project, and actually we were very young, and we were there building it more or less ourselves with the help of a helicopter and a local farmer and one guy who was very good in making stone walls. So we were actually living on the top of this hill. And this was supposed to be the starting point for the downhill in the Olympic Games. So here you see the start house in the Olympic Games, and this became kind of the starting point for our office also. Making this stone wall, which is actually in the winter you don't see so much of the stone, but it's there, and the roof is kind of curved wood. Like a ski. So it's kind of a what you call for rockets. It's not a local small food cabin. It's which you can see up in the mountains. It's kind of where this really speedy contest needs something that throws you out. So here you see the same construction in not so much snow, so you can see more the stone and how it looks. And this was also a picture of which we became more locally known in Norway. And we also tried to explore the landscape in different ways. It can be when you have a sloping terrain, you can sit on the top like the starting house, or you can kind of following the landscape, which was a project here for a resort hotel, where we kind of follow the contours of the landscape, where you have the main hotel facilities in the back, and then you have all the apartments, and they were terraced, so everybody had landscape outside their apartment. So sitting inside your apartment, you see kind of landscape, and then it was terraced down. So, and here you also see the model of it. We always build models, which we think is a very, very important thing to do. And I guess you as students also do build models, but very often at the office, the big offices, they kind of forget to build working models. I think, and for us, this is a very important part of collaborating, because it's so much easier to collaborate around a physical model than it is in a digital model, because the digital models, they are of course very important, but they are not so easy. There's kind of one person making it, but the models actually you can by hand, you can add and subtract around the table. So it's a good team building to build models. And further mountain project, a small cottage, and a little bit different approach, floating above the landscape instead of following the contours. Which we also see in old traditional Norwegian houses, which were standing on stilts. The landscape is kind of going through under the building, and this was what we tried in this cottage here. It's a cottage area and a very steep terrain, and we were building a Y and an L in a way to make a secret or closed outdoor area, because you have different cottages along this mountain edge. So here you see the Y building and the L building, which is annex and a carport and the entrance. You come here and you entrance to the private area, and then you enter the cottage. You see here also model coming here, the carport here going through between the annex and the carport into your own private outdoor area and this main building. And the same here, you are between the carport here and the annex, and going through the main. And going towards the main cabin, which is here in a closed situation, behind very, very thin wooden panels, and this is also because to protect the cottage a bit and the big windows. It's protected from snow and also from animals. And the client was very said they really wanted to have a kind of a summer house in the mountain, because we have built a lot of summer houses. We tried to make it this winter cabin, which are usually much heavier, a very light one, standing on stilts, and you can open these panels. And here you see from the inside through the panels, and then you can open much more and regarding how the climate and what you want. And you see here also from the inside, there's a lot of open areas. You see the panels outside here, which are also opened. And you see here how the Y inside is used to make you have kind of the view towards the valley here, but just outside the picture here it's this Y where you have an extra window and widen up the panorama. And then what's happening with this screen, because it's an outdoor connection here between the bedrooms. What is happening here when the screen is closed and the snow is coming, then suddenly it's this situation, and you get a kind of another type of diffusion of light, which is also gives a very special atmosphere inside the building, which the client really says they love. And here you see it, the building standing on stilts. Yes, watching out through towards the valley. And I just go further to another cabin, which is where the approach was different. It's more to lay down into the landscape, which we also find in the old houses. They have a lot of different ways of treating the landscape, but always respecting it. I mean, we don't change the landscape and then build. We want to keep the landscape, and this old building here is a very, very beautiful example, I think, with different materials and just going set into the landscape. And here's another one, and this is the cottage, which is partially wood, and when it goes into the landscape, it's actually concrete, black concrete, but looks more or less the same. And the form looks kind of like a gable house, but it's actually the plan is like this. You come into the your private outdoor area, and you have the annex, and you have the main cabin, and you have here, you can have cars here, but that's only in the summer, or you have like ski equipment and things under a roof here. And here you see it from a little from above. Here we have the private outdoor area. We think always when we build a new project, big or small, we think about the outdoor areas first. We think it's more important to try and make the outdoor space, think about the outdoor space as a room, because this is so difficult to do afterwards. If we only think about the cottage as a form, as a sculpture, then you have the problem of making good outdoor spaces afterwards. So we try and think about where can it be nice to have the main outdoor space? Where is the evening sun coming? So this is what we always think about. And what is special also about this building, I think, is the detail of the edge of the roof, which is actually the same on the long side as in the gables. So it's exactly the same detail on gables and the long side here. So it's only one detail going all the way around. This makes it a bit different from the typical gabled house. And we can also, in this way, we can also almost flush the detail, or we can cantilever it like here, 1 meter. And here you see it also towards the view, main view, and from the back. And there's entrances into the courtyard from several directions. And inside, the whole thing made of black concrete floor and smoked oak. The same on all walls and ceilings. And the kitchen and the connection towards the main courtyard. And the living room here is, on this picture, very, very empty, but you understand how it is in a way. And three steps down to the living area and up to the kitchen area. And you also see how the farmland is kind of coming into this cottage. The animals like so much the concrete when it gets heated by the sun, so they come here, and also the cows. So this is a little bit unexpected, but this is the client likes to have this. And last small project before I talk about more the big library project is it's also a different approach to the landscape. It's more to connect to a big rock in the landscape. We are going more south in Norway. We are going to annex in a summer place where we have made this roof of concrete in white concrete. You see here a very early model made of plastilina, which is also a material we often use in the beginning. Instead of sketching on paper, we sketch with plastilina to get a three-dimensional start. And here is from the building site trying to don't take away any of the vegetation and use, but still make it possible to make this concrete roof. And the concrete roof is kind of the whole building. It's a concrete roof which you can walk on top on the roof, and under here it will be an annex. You see here inside after finished. It's the sleeping place, which is up towards the roof, and the roof is under the concrete. We made acoustic solution because we think acoustics is very, very important, and not having the concrete roof inside the annex, but acoustic solution here with some oak, very thin oak patchwork here. And here you see it from above. So it's actually just this concrete roof and connecting to the big rock, but not going all the way in. You can also walk around here, and there is an outdoor space between the nature and the cabin, which of course is nice to be on this side when you have the sea, but it's also nice to be on the back side, because here we have the evening sun and the protection from wind, and you see through the annex, which here we are here now in the outdoor area. Outdoor area behind the annex, and you see towards the sea. And you see the waterproof white concrete. There is no membrane here. It's waterproof concrete, and then very special insulation and acoustic solution. And you see towards the rock, the rock is part of the interior, and here's the steps up to the bed. And here from inside towards the outdoor area, towards the evening sun. Yes, so now we go further onto a much bigger project, which I have been working now for the last 11 years. Our office, Lundhagem Architects, together with another office called Atelier Oslo, and two of the people in Atelier Oslo have worked in our office before, so we thought we knew each other very well, and we could make a common pre-qualification for this international competition. And we were so happy to win this competition, and this has been a really, really interesting job for us the last 11 years. And here you see a lot of the office some years ago standing on the building site. And we are in Oslo, in the fjord, Oslo fjord. The castle is right up here. Our office is here. And this is where the library is. It was built the opera house by the Norwegian company Snøhetta in 2008. It was finished, and in 2009 we won the competition for the library, which is here now. It was before just motorway and a harbor area. So this is the whole here is a new part of the city in Oslo, which now starts to finish. And we have a very nice long coastline here, where now it's beaches and a lot of people like to be here in the summer part. So, talking about the library, I've divided this into 4 different topics. And the first one is the context, which is kind of going further from what I have already shown about the cottages and the smaller tasks, trying to be respect of the landscape, and now it's more respect of the city and what is there to take advantage of. And I will talk about the special library roof, about the vertical public space inside, and about diffusing of light. So the context, here you see the library, you see the opera, you see also a new Munch museum by Herreros architects, and you see a lot of dwellings here, and this stripe along the harbor, which is not finished, but it will finished in a few years, and there will also then be a lot of beaches here, and there's already a beach here and some beaches out there, and a lot of saunas in the water here. And here also is saunas where you can go out and use during the winter also. You can jump in the water and heat you up inside the sauna afterwards. And this was just all these very famous names we were competing with, which we are very proud. We won the competition. We never thought we would do, but this what happened in this time. And to win the competition, we worked for 3 months building different physical models. We were standing around the table and building and discussing, 8 architects of us from both companies, and this was a very fruitful process. And after some time we kind of concluded on what was very important in this very, very special site. It was important that coming down the main road from the castle of Oslo down to the railway station, you should see this part of the opera. And in fact, that was decided politically also. So when building a library here, we had to cut this form. So it was already a special form for the site of the library. This should be visible. And this had been standing there for 1 year when we started the competition, and it was huge success. People love and still love to walk here on the roof. So we had to find out a good solution how to kind of talk with this opera, making this library here, a student housing here, office building here, and trying to connect these roads and making interesting pedestrian areas around these buildings, because these 3 buildings were in fact in the middle of the new city. part of the city of Oslo. So here it was very interesting to have shops and restaurants and try to make this more vertical library in this part of the plot. And you see here the diagonal facade from which expresses the sight line from the railway station and towards this point, and you could see this part of the opera from the railway station. But we also thought it would be interesting to see coming from these buildings, to see some of the same and not just making a vertical, perpendicular road between these buildings. So we were actually exploring diagonals, a diagonal facade here, which was kind of given, a diagonal road here, and diagonal views inside these buildings from the inner parts and out to the streets around the buildings. And we thought that when we're making a cantilever above this diagonal, it was kind of welcoming in. When people walk on the roof on the opera, maybe it starts raining, they want to go and be protected, they want to be under this roof, they want to go inside here and explore what's happening inside here. So it was much about making this library is to make people curious what is inside, and we really want to look into all these floors. So under this roof, under this cantilever, there is a main entrance, and we had to find a good solution for hanging up this cantilevering part, because we had this 18-meter cantilevering here, and we also had cantilevering towards the street behind here. So we started exploring different possible construction models, and together with some German engineers, Bolling and Grohmann, we decided to go further with folding concrete, to fold the concrete like paper planes. When you have this sloppy paper plane paper and you fold it, it gets so much stiffer. In fact, 10 times stiffer, according to the engineers. So making triangular folded slab, the whole roof here was so much stiffer, so we could cantilever out this part of the building, and also this building, this part behind here, and we have these cores inside to stiffen the building. And we were also thinking about the nature and being under trees, and this light coming in the opening between trees. So this was an early rendering of the interior of the library, where everything was folded concrete and kind of was opening towards skylights. And here you see from the building site these triangular folding concrete, and one of the skylights. And you see here how these folded concrete is like a beam coming out, and you could have steel rods hanging up the cantilevering part. So we could make a interesting room here looking towards the Oslo fjord above the opera. And this rendering, which is more closed but still very open towards the fjord, and you see the foldings that are so stiff that they can hold up this part, which is cantilevering above the entrance. And making a vertical public space was very important, because people entering the library, they had to get curious about what is happening up in next floor and the next floor. So we decided to make diagonal light shafts, and that was what we found out in the competition period. We saw that instead of making just one big inner atrium, we made 3 light shafts that connects from each of the 3 entrances of the building, They go diagonally through the section of the building and up through each of the 3 skylights. And in this way, all the floors became different. And we got a lot of interesting reading spaces along these edges where you could look at the other people in the library, not only on your floor, but on the floors below you and all the way down to the street. And from the street, you can actually see a little bit of what's happening inside the library when you see up through these light shafts. And for the competition, we actually made a physical model of the non-existing space, or the space itself. So we made a structure of the voids. In the competition, it actually was 4 voids, but we reduced it to 3 afterwards. And you see people here. So this is the measure and kind of ground floor, first floor, second floor, and 5th floor up here, and the skylights. And here just some pictures of these light shafts, which is actually the when you understand how the light shafts are organized, it's much easier to understand how the whole interior is organized. So standing here in the bottom, looking up, and there are 3 of these, so they change while you walk around. So you see up to the skylights in different ways, and along all these edges there are working spaces. And you see the 3 light shaft, now the skylights in the triangular roof on top. And here a BIM model of ground floor, which is, you see the 3 main cores. You see the 3 entrances, which I've shown before is here, but there's another one there, and then a 3rd one there. And they all connect to this inner courtyard, or which we wanted to be more like an outdoor plaza, that you can actually use these 3 entrances as a shortcut on your walking tour in the city, and people just go here from the buildings here and towards the opera, and they go in, and hopefully they get curious what's happening on the other floors. When you see up in the light shaft, you get curious, and there's escalators bringing you up. You don't have to walk in very long stairs. And there is galleries on ground floor, and then you have 2nd floor. You see these light shafts, these holes in the floor, and you come up to 3rd floor. You see the holes differ a bit, and 4th floor they are connected. The light shafts are connecting together, and you see also the cantilevering part is coming out, connecting the upper floor and next to the upper floor here. So you kind of you use the escalators in a spiral connection, and when you come up you can have a promenade going down again. Was one of the thinking. But what kind of the main idea of these light shafts was to make these working spaces along these openings, so people could be alone together, which was a sentence that the librarians we worked with was very occupied with. They said it several times, to be alone together. This is an important part of a good library. So you should have no excuse as a citizen to go into the building and find a place you want, and you feel you're part of a society. And here's a little bit about the diffusion of light, which I also showed a little bit from this cottage with snow, trying to make the lights very much daylight inside the library, without bringing the whole city inside, because you want to concentrate also on what is happening inside the library. So you don't want to just be a sightseeing place where you can see lots of things in the city. You want to you will have some windows out, but you also want to diffuse the light to concentrate on what is happening inside. So we made also different models of this, and we ended up with a lot. We explored a lot of different facades, but we ended up with this vertical facade, which is cut for every floor, and there's a small step. So it actually the library is getting bigger and bigger as further up you go, and it's biggest on the top with this big cantilever, and it's closed, insulated part, and its openings, but this is kind of diffused with the inner glass areas and outer glass areas. So you see here the horizontal section of the pillars connecting the glass, and this is the glass, which is a very, very high insulated glass, and we use no steel. So the glass is just glued to this composite material, which is filled with very effective insulation. So this is part of why the library has a passive house. It's a passive house for culture building. So we use very, very little energy of heating and cooling the building. Actually, the goal was to make the most energy efficient culture building in Norway, and all the measures afterwards tell us that this is actually has happened. And this is partly because of the facade, but also about different other solutions with ventilation in the floor, using thermal effect of concrete construction, and also a lot of other special details. But you see here the facade, the inner glass, the composite insulated part, the glass, the sun shading, which is protected also by outer glass that can be opened, and you can have maintenance. And in this way, this is the renderings, and this is one-to-one experiments at our office. With our office floor here, we just put in some paper columns here, pretending it was the composite columns, and then we put the matted glass inside, so these columns just became these shadows, trying to make a much more even and even space, even a daylighted space inside the library. And here are some model photos of the same. Some parts which was without the inner glass to see more out. Technical drawings of this facade. Also a model photo of the effect of this. And here from the real library built. Here is a part where it's open with no inner glass, and here is part with inner glass, and also here you see you can get this impression of being outdoor in a day when it's not really sunshine, it's more cloudy, but it's a lot of light coming in, and actually by using this matted glass inside we get better acoustics, and we get also the light coming further in to the space. And you see here the glass from the outside, where we used different types of glass. We have this patterned glass, we have matted glass, and we have clear glass. And some of them are in between. And here you see also the composite columns. And in the end, I have a series of photos of the library in use. So trying to go through so you can, hopefully you can come and visit sometime, and because it's so difficult to I think to show such a building how the inner space actually is. But we have here some good photographers that have taken the best pictures, I think. Coming here, main entrance, you see skylight, the light shaft, one of the light shafts coming up here, another one here, you see the escalator, and you see the main entrance information here. You see one of the cores where we have media shelves, is what the librarians want to call them, because it's not only for books, it's for different types of media. And behind these bookshelves there are different smaller rooms. And here is downstairs. There is also 3 openings downstairs where the main the bigger groups are going to use the auditorium, and the auditorium is also with glass, so you actually understand that you're not in any you are in the library. You understand you're in the library because you see the bookshelves through the glass. And of course you have curtains, you can blacken it out, but very often there is discussions and authors explaining about their books, and it can be open like this, so people orientate themselves inside the library. And in this basement there is a lot of the books, and there's also a cinema down here and classrooms for the school kids. So the big groups are going directly down, not to disturb too much the floors more up. And here the stair up, one of the stairs, there's 3 stairs, 3 holes coming up to the windows in front of one of the light shafts. And back up in ground floor again, there's also a lot of different places where people sit. And this library has become so popular among the Oslo citizens that it's sometimes long queues outside. Even we can have 3,000 inside at the same time. So it's very, very popular to come here, and this was been the most happy thing for us after working with this in 11 years, and actually see all these people coming in and they stay there. So it's really the most fantastic project I have been part of. Yeah, to see the escalators coming up, and we made it kind of the geometry of the building is without 90 degrees angles, and this kind of started with this facade, diagonal facade, which it was politically decided it should be a diagonal facade to show the opera when coming down the main street in Oslo. Then we had not a square plot. We had a square plot with a diagonal line, and we started using non-90 degrees angles to also make much more smooth circulation inside the library, because the library is very much about circulation. You want to have a lot of circulation to expose all the medias and all the things you can do in the library. So it's not about making the shortest distance between things always. In the library you need to have long traffic lines in a way to get to show all everything that is inside. Yeah, and we made this very special acoustic solution for the ceilings. It's acoustic foam, which is laser cutted out. I don't know if you see my office here now, but in the ceiling where I sit, we have the cutouts of this. We got them for free for our office. So we also have an office with a good acoustic solution, which is very good for us. But when we looked at different libraries in the world, in photos, and also we visited a lot of interesting libraries, we saw that the ceilings are kind of the permanent part of the library. It's on the floor, it's more like a market space. You have to change things all the time. It's about new installations, new type of attractions. But the ceilings are kind of more permanent. So we try to use the acoustics to make this special atmosphere, and we got rid of all the ventilation in the ceiling. It's all in the floor. So the ventilation is in the floors and kind of very using the thermal effect of the concrete to cool down the air, and with very little energy, it's just coming through holes in the floor and ventilate the building. And here you also stand up along one of the light shafts. You see different parts of the library. There's a room for sewing machines where people can come in and repair their clothes for free. And a lot of people don't have a sewing machine, but I think this is a very good thing. And the library chief says that when we have all these kind of different attractions, people come and they didn't think they wanted to loan a book, but they do. So the loaning of the book has also increased a lot. You have the view under the cantilevered area. You have children departments, different niches for different activities. Yes. And here you see where the light shafts have met. You see here, down here in one of them, and here in third floor they meet and they become an inner atrium in the upper part. And you see the cores with these bookshelves or media shelves around, which makes all these different niches behind. And this was also, it's like these niches. You see here the bookshelves, and it's like niches like this. A lot, it's like 50 different rooms with different interiors, because it's also about a sentence we used, everybody should find their own place. So we try to make kind of a common atmosphere out in the common areas, and then the interior architects made different interiors in each of the small rooms, so people actually could find their own different places. And here you see also towards the cantilevered area, where you go outside towards, you see here under, you see the opera, you see the fjord, and this is going up to the cantilevered area. You see down one of the cores, or one of the light shafts. You see the plaza, you see also the bridge towards the opera here. And here we're standing on top floor, and it's on the, we started with folding concrete on each floor, but of course this was very expensive and not the right solution for all the floors. So these floors here are bubble decks, where you reduce the amount of concrete by putting in bubbles inside, and you can then heighten the height of the concrete slab to get long slabs between the columns. But up here, we needed a much stronger roof to also hang up this cantilevered area. So then we had a very good reason for making this very special roof on the top to hang up the floor here and the cantilevered area, and also cantilevered area towards the other side. And another thing with this geometry, it was easy to kind of lift up the middle part of the roof to make a much higher roof in the middle, so we could get enough space also for these galleries on the top floor. And the third thing about this roof is that you can see it all the way from the ground floor through the light shaft, and it has become part of the main atmosphere of the library, where people can remember how it looks in a way. And of course, architects always love this, that it is the construction itself that kind of makes the atmosphere of the interior. Here also going up to the cantilevered area, another part of the library, bookshelves with the lighting. And this the cantilevered area on the inside, and it's always like this. It's or more people. It's so much people here, and we are here quite often also to guide around in the library, and it's become so popular. It's really amazing. And here you also see from the cantilever above the opera towards the fjord, people working. And here you see again the principle of the triangular roof, where you kind of see the beam of how to hang up the cantilever outside here, with a thick column here and a thin column back, which is actually stretching. So this is a kind of crane. We have stretch forces here and compressing forces here. And you see 1, 2 skylights, and there's the third one behind here. You see the light shafts becoming one in the upper floor. The escalators and these 1, 2 cores and a third core here. So it's 3 entrances, 3 cores, 3 light shafts, and this was the composition. And here you see also one of the light shafts looking all the way down to the street. People work around, sitting here working, and you also have this connection towards what's happening outside. The same here. And outside we have a terrace for restaurants, and the cantilevered part and the different glass patterns on the facade, and the cantilevered part, which is dropping down from top floor to next to top floor. And here in the front you see the same cantilever. And how the library becomes a light, a lamp in the city during the day. No, during the night. During the day is the opposite. You get all this diffused light in, but in the evening, of course, it becomes the opposite, and it's kind of a diffusion of the light from the inside coming out, becoming more like a lamp. And this is also the logo of the library. It's a light, it's enlightening people, and yeah, so they were very much in front of this. You see the main entrance and the opera, and here a bit further out the entrance here, the opera line, and the cantilever part. And actually this facade is also not, it's not a flat facade, it's actually a small, it's right under here is the third entrance, and it's kind of the facade gives a little, yeah, I don't know the English word now. Never mind. And here, going further away from the library, and here close again, looking out, standing outside, and it's of course more easy to see during the nighttime when lights inside, that you actually see through the glass and up towards these light shafts, wondering what is happening up in these floors, trying to make people want to go in and explore for themselves. And the same here, standing on outside on the ground floor, looking in through the glass up to a light shaft, and you see under the facade here, and going more away, and there's a very thin water mirror here, which can be taken away in just a few hours, and the librarians can make outdoor workshops here in this plaza and make the plaza much bigger without water. And in the winter time, it will be now in the winter it will be skating here. And here, last picture, even further away, and you see people using this ocean here now, which has been cleaned a lot the last 30 years. So now it's actually advised to go swimming even in the middle of the city. Yes, so thank you. I think this was what I was wanted to show.
Thank you very much, Einar. It was really exciting, and I'm simply completely like, well, I'm a big fan of the library. I would definitely like to go right now to Oslo and to visit.
Yes.
It's really amazing. I would like to ask you right now how it is with the program of programming of the building. Was everything like clear from the moment of the competition, or was there any kind of influence from your side when you shaped the program?
Yes,
of the building?
that was very, very interesting. Good question, because the program was very kind of main. It was not detailed at all. It was kind of intentions, and the librarians were of course also very curious of what is the future library. So they were really interesting people. They knew a lot, but they really didn't know exactly how to build it. So it was a very good collaboration the first years between the architects and the librarians to find out how should the future library be. And from the competition, we had already made these light shafts and the cantilevered facade, but it was a lot of the details and how it was detailed afterwards. It was very much in company with the librarians.
Because all these actually the functions that are not so much traditionally tied with the library, like sewing machines and all these public, let's say, programs. This is really amazing that, I mean, today a kind of public library is becoming the most important public space in the city. Where you have it, then it is kind of a generator of the social life, I would say. Because it reminds me strongly of the city library in Seattle, done by Rem Koolhaas and the Olma office. And this is, well, they succeeded to include even the homeless people to be part of this. And I mean, your work is exactly the same, or is it even more elaborated because it's much newer, so but it's really amazing.
Yes, and we also went to Seattle to see that library. It was very interesting. But there in Seattle, they had put all the books in a big archive, which is a very special automatic system. But you didn't see so much books. Here in Oslo, all the books are exposed, so people can kind of find them themselves. And the librarians were very eager to have this because they were talking about serendipity, that you actually were looking for something, but you find something else. And then this is part of a library. So,
yeah, absolutely. This is the most exciting when you visit the library, to find something else than you've been looking for at the beginning. Yeah, great. Congratulations, really beautiful. And at the beginning, you touched the topic of the diffusing light. And this is something that we are confronted with from the very beginning of the series today, this year, because actually all the architects coming from Norway, they somehow mention the diffusing light. And then,
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and actually when I started introducing the Norwegian architecture, so I was explaining to students something about Sverre Fehn and Christian Norberg Schultz, and there was also always this discussion on diffusing light. So I would say, or I would like to ask, is it really a part of your, let's say, a kind of national tradition, or is it strongly tied with the sense of Norwegian architecture, or the way of living, or a way of
yes, maybe people in Norway, almost everybody likes to go skiing, and I guess this snowy landscape in the winter, with when wind is coming and the snow is in the air, is part of this diffusion of light that we all have grown up with. So I guess that is some of the answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have lots of questions from the student side. So
okay,
now read, and we have it in the chat.
Yes, there are so many of them. I don't even know where to begin, but let's start from the first one. Alexandra says, I was curious about all the models you showed us. When you are thinking about the form of the architecture and coming with the first ideas, do you prefer creating a 3D model instead of sketching?
Yes, I think this is something we have used from the very beginning of our office. We try to make a model of the landscape or the situation we are going to build in, and then we put in a lot of different alternatives, physical models into this situation, and discuss pros and cons. I think that is a very good way of teamwork. As I tried to explain, it's much easier to have teamwork with physical models than with drawings.
Yes, we can see, in fact, the models just behind you.
Yes, yes.
Another question is by Anna. She says that she really likes your work with the light because it's really thoughtful and logic. We partly already discussed it. And she wants to ask if you're also thinking about Aurora Borealis, and if you design the architecture according to this source of light. Very special.
Yes, no, we haven't thought specially about that, I think, but of course that is also part of our culture, that most Norwegians have seen this special light on the northern sky. So in the beginning we tried, when making this diffused facade, glass facade, we were maybe thinking about also how you could use colors and colored light and things but this was too much an special effect, so we didn't go further with that.
All right, I'm just wondering whether there is actually an architecture that would directly refer to this phenomenon.
Yeah, I don't know. Of course, there are this astronomic research laboratories that they have. They watch? You can watch it from big lenses. But no, I haven't seen architecture that is really related to this light.
Well, maybe one day you'll design one.
Yeah, one day.
Well, Katarina says that the Dijkman Library looks like a dream project for an architect. Have you done similarly large projects before?
Yeah, I can. Yes, actually, it's a dream project, and I think library is the best task an architect can do. So I guess I have been working for many years, so I guess I will not have this fantastic task again. I'm not sure, but of course we are also now doing other competitions for libraries and try to get new ones, but it's a very high competition and difficult to win. And we have built also larger buildings before, yes, but not as university buildings and big housing projects. But this has been the most social house and the most urban house I think we have done. But we have also done a smaller house here in Oslo right now, just opened, a climatic house, or it's trying to show the students coming there how the atmosphere is changing.
Yes, I think that the student was like interested in the experience that you had before, because to get such a huge commission is probably very difficult. But
yes. Actually, so we could show to be accepted in the pre-qualification. We thought we would maybe not possible alone, so we teamed up with this other office at Oslo, which is a younger office, and they were kind of upcoming, so some people knew about them, and we had done some larger projects which we has got architectural prizes and become so we were experienced, and they were not so experienced, and together we kind of worked this library out.
All right. In terms of your the size of your office, there is another question by Katarina that says you have a huge architectural team. How you can manage so many people?
Yes.
Because like 50 people in one office, it's not very typical for the Slovakia environment.
No, the offices are usually smaller.
I mean, for the whole Central Europe, it's quite exceptional to have such a huge office.
Is it?
Yeah.
In Denmark and Sweden, they are mostly much larger. So the big offices are like 200-300 architects, but we are probably in the among the largest 10 or 15 in Norway, I think. And we have been this size for some years now, and we are like 5 partners, and of course every Monday we have to discuss who is doing what. But I guess that you have to do also in smaller offices.
Exactly. I mean, okay, we still have some questions there.
Yes. So let's go on. Simona is asking, I would like to ask a question about the cabin gay law. What was the main reason to use black concrete in some parts of the house instead of wooden facade? Is it because of the architectural concept to separate the part facing to slope from the part facing to the other side, or were there some economical or another aspect as well?
Yes, it's the first that you have had to use the concrete when you go into the ground. So of course it could be not going all the way up as facades. It could be have been lower, but we did it like that, and trying to use the same what is the name of the when you make concrete, you have this pattern now that this work outside to hold the concrete when it's wet. It's the same wooden panels. So you get this. The concrete looks on the distance. It looks the same. The wooden panels and the concrete, but the concrete is actually holding and keeping the wet side out.
Yeah, thank you. There was a question regarding the glass facade actually in the library. Yeah, and regarding I don't know, it's like if this matte surface is a permanent one or if it is only temporary. But I would like to add to this question also my question or remark. You are working quite a lot with the phenomenon of a glass facade, and one would imagine that in such a difficult conditions like natural conditions in Norway, that is not perhaps the easiest solution to have these big glass surfaces. But you've shown us on this example in the library that you can solve the problem of the insulation with this, like that you have no steel, you have only this composites used like in a frame. But anyway, I mean, it's difficult to have such a great glass surfaces, because there have been quite a lot also in this country houses or cabins. The one which was on this columns, it was completely like the first skin was completely done of glass, and then you have this second skin done of these wooden lamellas, or how you can call it. So.
Yeah, it's first about the glass facade in the library. It's actually 50% insulated, so it's 50% closed insulated parts. So it's like having closed facade, and you put in 50% glass. That is the normal solution in a big house to have control over heating and cooling, and this is the same. It just looks like it's much more glass because you have when you must also in this mathematics, you must also think about the edge of the floors, which is insulated, and then you have kind of half the wall is insulated, half the wall is glass. So it's 50%. And then diffusing the closed parts, it looks like it's 70% glass, or yeah. And in the cabins, also in this cabin you mentioned, it is also, I think, less than 50% glass, because you maybe didn't see the whole, but it's a lot of walls are just closed and insulated. So this is possible even in cold Norway. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have some more questions from our students. So
yes, I like this one by Zehra. She's asking. She says, "You told us about an unexpected event, like the picture of the cows." And architects sometimes plan a lot of things, but some unexpected events can happen. Did you expect positive or negative things happen in the library project? Like did something surprise you in the actual use of the the people.
Yes, yes, we're really fascinated of how people find different places to sit and work, and yeah, and we didn't realize how this would be used in this way always. So we always get a little bit surprised when you go inside and see how people use it. So there's a lot of strange small places where people can hide also, and yeah, there are a lot of stories about this, how they use the library in different ways.
All right. Another one by Nicola. Thank you for interesting presentation. I would like to ask, what types of projects do you prefer? The city projects and designing in the existing structure and the challenges that come with the existing buildings, or the projects situated in the landscape?
And now we work a lot with existing buildings, and of course now more and more of the new tasks are restoration of historic buildings. And this is very, very interesting. I think it's you start in a way in the opposite way. It's not designing the first sketch, but you try to understand the building more and more, and try to make it more. It's in the beginning it's very complex, and in the end maybe it's more simple. But building a new house is the opposite. You start with some simple small things, and then it gets more and more complicated in a way. So I think that is very interesting to work with now, to work with historic buildings. But of course it's also very nice to work with small buildings and big buildings. So we are very happy that we have all these small buildings, all these clients coming to us they want one family houses and cabins, and it's like a hobby for us in a way. We think it's so nice. It's very difficult to earn money on it, but it's a way of exploring also different materials and different details, which we try and bring into the bigger projects.
Well, especially when your clients allow you to use all these new technologies and materials, because those cabins were not low budgets at all.
Yes, that, of course, it's that this is very different, and all clients are different. So
Yes.
there's no one type.
I would only add to what you just said about the existing, because you actually told us in the beginning that you even consider the landscape as something existing. So
Yes.
it's kind of similar to the city structure. You are not entering the empty plot, you know.
Good point. Yes.
But we have another question by Mate. He says, thank you very much for the nice presentation. Can you possibly name the main quality which won the competition for you for the library in Oslo? Like, you named many of them, but I am sure that also other proposals had a lot of different qualities. Did the jury told you what made your project so unique and winning among others? I
think we were the only one, or one of two, that actually cantilevered above this diagonal line, and this made us, it's more easy to fulfill the program inside the plot. So that was one, and the other one, of course, was this diagonal light shaft, which the jury really liked. So I think that was probably the main two things, and so we kind of made an exterior that emphasized the opera, which was the neighbor building, and still welcomed inside and made the library visible. Because if we hadn't done the cantilevered part, then the library would be only showing way to the new opera and not selling itself as a public library building. So I think that was And yeah, so that was the main two things.
It's so nice that you actually came up with the volume that gives respect to the opera house, but is also very autonomous in its own respect. You know, that it gains the value for the very memorable shape. But Maria wants to ask something.
Well, I will stay with the library with my question. I think it's very representative as it is, as the building, the architecture itself. And I'm curious about if the function of the library, if it was important in the designing, because maybe it could serve some other function in future, so maybe some public function or some other, if this was involved in your designing process to create unique space which can be public in different functions in time, or the library was the important and the only function.
You mean in the when we started the competition, or?
Yeah.
So we tried to make imagine for ourselves what would be a typical day in a library, and we kind of made also a poster, like a program for saying in this floor is happening, and here you have some children theater, and try to imagine all kinds of different activities that could to be within this civic house. And this the librarian said also that after when they saw this poster, they thought, yes, this is they understand what the library can be. So yeah. But as I said, the chief of the library, he was very. He sometimes talk about this library as an activity house, the biggest activity house in Oslo, and people come there for different reasons, all kinds of reasons. And of course, just being alone together is one main thing for some people. And just finding a special place is special for other people, and they meet people they didn't know, and they find books or whatever. They find something in this house that they didn't know, so they take home, or they loan.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, when I was looking at this project and during your lecture, it always reminded me on something very, let's say, iconical, like connected with old libraries because of these large shafts and because of these bookshelves. And I was even thinking about Umberto Eco's novel, Name of the Rose, you know, with this old library labyrinth, because it has something very iconical in it. So I think it couldn't be nothing else, only library, because it's somehow, it's library.
Yeah, that was your question, if the building could be something else. I understand, yes. Yeah, no, it was the politicians who ordered this task. They said this building was going to stay there for 200 years, and we had to design it for that, and it was never any talking about another function than library. But of course, in 100 years, maybe people are thinking differently, and they want to change. So it probably can be different things. We thought a little.
It will not change, because we need to smell the books, and I hope they
Yeah.
I think that the physical books were challenged a lot, and they still survived because there are many people that love them, and it still brings people together. As you said, it's a place where, well, various people can meet, and it should be like open to everyone. Yeah. It's the most public that it can be, and let's hope that there will be no need to change the function of the building in the future.
Yeah, and it's also, I must say that it's also very clever and amazing, programming from the side of politicians and urban planners, how they set this harbor with the new icons, which are all of them actually mostly with public functions. So this is very important to have this this new city center devoted to public actually,
and culture especially.
Yes, exactly.
We are only jealous about it.
Yeah, we admire you very much, Oslo, and then the people of Oslo.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, we do not have more questions from the student side, but I would say they were really beautiful today, and thank you, dear students, for asking them. If there are some more, so from your side, you should put them right now, because I mean, we have taken quite a lot of time of Einar, and so if you have more questions, please put them in the chat right now or ask directly. I think we do not have other questions. I would like to thank you once again very much for the wonderful lecture and for showing us this beautiful architecture of your office. I forgot to thank at the beginning also the foundation that enabled actually our project, which is the project The Empathy in Art, which was supported by Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway through the EEA Grants. So thank you even for this. And Einar, I hope you will have the opportunity in the very next future to design another such a wonderful, huge project, because I mean, we will be happy to see it realized as the library. So wish you all the best for your future career and for your office.
Thank you very much. Very nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a nice evening in Oslo.
You too in Bratislava.
Thank you very much.
Evening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.